If you are a collector or enthusiast of old cars, you are most likely using the Old Cars Price Guide rating system to investigate, research, and value old collectible cars. The comprehensive price guide rates and values cars from showroom restored condition down to decaying parts cars. The Old Cars Price Guide goes way beyond what meets the eye to give detailed information and value within each of its 1 through 6 rating system grades. Here's editor Angelo Van Bogart to give us a breakdown of this wide-ranging system.
The Old Cars Price Guide condition rating system has been around since the late 70s, early 80s. It's gone through some minor modifications in that time. Today it's a 1 through 6 rating, where a number 1 car is the best car that you'll find out there. It's the kind of car that I tell people that if you can flip it over and eat a steak off the tie rod ends, it's a number 1 car. Another type of car you're not going to obviously want to do that with. But a number 1 car's had a nut and bolt restoration, meaning every bolt, every nut, every piece of fabric, every piece of chrome, and the paint, they're all perfect. They've all been addressed in a completely thorough restoration that involved taking the car completely apart. Number 2 cars are a little bit more common. Number 1s are quite rare, but number 2 cars are generally ones that have deteriorated just through time. The chrome is not quite as shiny as it was when the car was first restored. It may have a little bit of wear. Some chips might be showing up on the undercarriage, which at one time was completely detailed. Or it might be an extremely low mileage, well-kept, unrestored car, a car that's been babied since the day it was new and will have very low miles, 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles. Number 3 cars are the most common types of cars that you'll see out there. They're the kinds of cars you see at car shows, they're the kinds of cars that you see driving around, and they look great. They have fresh paint or very good paint, good chrome, nice upholstery. But if you get underneath, you'll see that it's a nice original underneath, or it's basically just being maintained as a driver. It hasn't been detailed, has never been painted except when the factory did it. If it has been painted, it's not detailed. They haven't filed out all the pits on the frame, those types of aspects. So number 3s are real common, and there's nothing wrong with a number 3. Many people think that a car that's shiny on top and has nice upholstery is a number 1, and that's simply not the case. Most cars that are number 3s, that's exactly how they appear, and that's great. Those are the cars that we get to see at shows and people are enjoying. Number 3s and number 4s are the types of cars that look great from 20 feet. It really takes a moment to get up close and inspect that car to determine what the difference exactly is between a number 3 and a number 4. A number 4 is going to show weathered paint, especially poor trim, perhaps upholstery, dull chrome, whereas a number 3 will have decent chrome, or chrome that is serviceable for several more years before it gets to the point where it's going to need replating. And the paint is going to be much better than that of a 4, as well as the upholstery. Number 5 cars are cars that need serious restoration. They may or may not have rust, but in most cases they will have rust. The upholstery is generally shot. The engine may or may not be there, and it may need a rebuild, even if it does run. So it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money to get a number 5 car up to a number 1 condition. The lowest condition rating is a number 6. These are cars that are stripped, weathered, and in general just a mess. These are cars that people would normally only consider worthy of being parts cars, cars that will supply parts to cars that are in better condition. Sometimes, however, people will restore number 6 cars because those cars are so rare, or because that specific car has a certain romance because it was the owner's first car, or it was a family member's car. Something along those lines where they have an attachment to that vehicle and it makes it worth it to them, even if it's going to cost more than it's worth, but it's going to make it worth it to them to restore that car and bring it up to a number 3 or even a number 1 condition car.
The most prevalent rating of the price guide is a number 3. There are many variations within this rating. Here is Ron Kowalski to take us through the high and low of this category.
There are many reasons why this 1981 Chevrolet Impala represents the high end of the number 3 condition rating. In fact, in many ways, this car represents a number 1 condition rated car. And we'll start with the leading edge, which is where you want to make your statement. Any car that has chrome of this quality is going to get a lot of eyeballs. This is brilliant. The luster, everything about it says this car has been well maintained and is well loved. The other aspect of this car, on many of the newer collector era cars, the grille work is made out of a hard, dense plastic. Over time, this tends to get brittle, it tends to shatter or crack. In this example, we've got a complete, solid, and almost flawless grille. The glass on this Impala is also near perfect, and again, being a number 3 car, will look as it would be on a number 1 car. The reason being, within the 18,000 original miles this car has been driven, there isn't the normal wear and tear such as pitting and scratching and things like that that would detract from the clarity and the reflective quality of the glass. Next, one of the unique features about this car, the tires on this car are all original. They still bear the original stamping marks on the sidewall. And again, this works in his favor towards keeping this car as authentic as possible. This 1971 Chevrolet Malibu is a very beautiful car. It has many fine attributes such as the burnt orange metallic paint, which is offset by the caramel vinyl top. It has trim rings and center caps on the wheels, all very nice touches on this car. But according to our price guide, this is what we call a 20-footer. And what I mean by that is that it falls in the low range of the number 3 category based on some of the flaws in the car. First off, we have what is common on the post on the driver's door. The driver's compartment gets the most use of any piece of the interior, so obviously that's going to be where you find the most problems. And one of the common problems is when people close the door, if they have their keys in their hand or they have long nails or whatever, you get this scratching or marring of the chrome surface. Another problem here is right behind the outside mirror, you've got some bubble rust developing, and it's actually lifting the paint off the surface. And this is somewhat common. Anytime you have moisture on the window and the seals, the moisture tends to fall away and you know, it just builds up under here, and this is what causes this type of problem. We have the same type of problem right here where we call bubble rust above the door handle. The moisture tends to settle there and stay there, and that hurts the paint. And then here on the actual door handle surface, we have almost a braille-like quality of pitting where it's actually bubbling the chrome. And again, from 20 feet away, you probably wouldn't notice this type of problem, but when you get up close to the car, these are the types of problems that make the car fall into the low end of the number 3 category and somewhat hurts the value of the car. Well, the vinyl top on this 1971 Malibu really works to set off the primary color of the car. What we see with vinyl tops, it's a very common problem. The vinyl tends to trap moisture down on the bottom edge, and it tends to corrupt the metal underneath to the point where, as we see on this back edge here, the vinyl still looks fine, but underneath you can feel the metal is actually starting to rust and bubble up. And on the case of the Malibu, we have that moisture problem actually running down into the back sill where it's causing rust through on the metal, it's causing the hazing on the paint. And again, this is why from 20 feet away this car would be a solid number 3, but on the close-up examination, this type of problem tends to move it into the low end of the number 3 category.
For more video on rating cars with the 1 through 6 rating system, please visit our website and look for the expanded version of this DVD.
This is a very rare 1960 Chrysler 300F convertible. The reason it's so rare, they had a very low production in 1960. They only made 248 of these in convertibles. And the attrition rate over the years, we've lost quite a few of them, and we believe there's only about 67 of these left.
Come with us on a journey through the creation of a masterpiece. Step back in time and witness the rebirth of a Chrysler 300F convertible like never before. Learn the process of a true frame-off restoration by the best in the business. This is a no-expense-spared project where every detail is examined and meticulously restored. No bolt is left untouched, no screw is left unturned. Do you think you know what it takes to achieve a #1 rating? Place yours next to the best of the best in the world and think again.